We have increased guidance today on both our profit and revenue for the remainder of the year. So yeah, I think we're in a good place and things are going well.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Futura Medical CEO James Barder. James, very good to speak with you again. As a reminder, please could you give us an overview of what Futura does, the market, and what are the key factors about Eroxon as your lead products that investors should be aware of?
Okay, yeah, a little bit about Futura. We kind of specialize in the development and commercialization of innovative sexual healthcare products across the world. With our global expertise is in topical gels. Our lead product is Eroxon. This is a breakthrough, clinically proven treatment for erectile dysfunction. It helps men get an erection in 10 minutes. And importantly, it is approved as an OTC, in other words, over-the-counter product in many countries across the world, including key markets of the US and Europe.
So, James, you've announced a big increase in revenue and your first profit today. Is this a flash in the pan, and how confident are you for the future?
I hope not. I think we're very optimistic for the future. This year has been, very good so far. We've launched in 10 countries, and we do expect further growth in the second half of the year. In fact, this morning we announced that we've just launched in Mexico, and we will also be launching shortly in America. So yeah, again, one of our key sort of core strategies is we're committed to building sustainable growth, both for Eroxon and also for other products that we are currently exploring in our pipeline. We've got a very experienced R&D team, and we're working on other projects as well. So in answer to your question, no, I think this is about really building a viable consumer healthcare company with strong profits.
Jamie, you mentioned America, and you put out some news earlier this month about Halion's launch of Eroxon. Can you talk us through what this means for the group?
Yeah, I think the first thing is in the US, at the moment, all the main oral treatments, clinically proven treatments for erectile dysfunction, which most people know, Viagra and Cialis, require a doctor's prescription. So the launch of Eroxon in the States, this is the first time a clinically proven treatment that can be available without a doctor's prescription, so OTC, is going to happen into what is the largest consumer healthcare market in the world. So we see it as a huge opportunity. And in addition, our US commercial partner is one of the world's leading consumer healthcare companies. So very exciting times for us in that regard.
Well, that news came out post your half year end. What have been the key successes for the company so far this year, James?
For us, obviously the launches in the 10 different markets was very important. We've announced this morning our maiden profit of £1 million, which actually, if you deduct non-cash items, that's 2.3 million, and a revenue up over 300% to £7 million. And I think investors should understand this is pretty meaningful for us. A couple of years ago, the company had never generated any real material income at all, let alone profits. So it's a real milestone for us. In addition, we spent more money on developing a supply chain as demand for Eroxon grows. That we now have manufacturers both in the US and Europe. So it's been a very, very busy year so far, but I would stress this is a good start and there's more to come.
It's great to see so many of the launches getting off to a good start. What learnings are you taking from each launch, and how is this beneficial moving forward?
Okay. Yes, you're right in saying we're beginning to get consumer feedback. I think, interestingly enough, we've now seen data from 4 independent consumer studies that have been conducted on men that use Eroxon. I think on the first note, which is really good, is the efficacy we're seeing in these consumer studies is very similar. Over 60% of men are satisfied with the product. So very similar to the phase 3 clinical studies that we've done previously, which is great news. And of course, this is kind of where we're using product in real, we're generating real world data. As is the case with any new brand, it takes time to get it right. especially a market like the UK, which is slightly different in that Viagra and Cialis are already OTC. But for us, it's about really optimal positioning of the product, and what we're seeing, and positioning or moving the advertising promotional towards charging that. Advertising is an expensive business, and you want to make sure you're going to get, no pun intended, your best bang for your buck in that regard. What we're seeing now from the usage is that the optimal sort of patient or users are men up to 60 years old, and we're definitely also seeing that men who are in a relationship, so couples, as opposed to a man looking for a sort of casual relationship. So in addition to that, you've also got to overlay cultural issues in different countries. But I think this is very normal on any new brand, especially a new brand where you're creating a new category. It takes time to position it, and we made a good start, and we're pretty happy with the way things are going.
Can you remind us how your commercial agreements work, James? With so much growth, is there going to be an increase in your cost base?
No, we try and structure the company in a way that it's kind of leveraged in that regard. And as sales grow, it really shouldn't see a commensurate increase in our internal costs. You'll see this year our costs are pretty much the same as historically. There are two ways that we kind of sell product. An IP license related agreement. This is where we generate royalties off the intellectual property we have on the company, and we get royalties on all sales, and we also get other milestone payments. Secondly, there's a direct sales approach, and this is where we manufacture Eroxon ourselves, and we sell it on with a transfer price, and take our margin in that. And again, also with that, there may also be other milestone payments. So those are kind of the two different routes that we use. I think it's very important to stress that, Futura, we are not marketers ourselves, and therefore all the costs relating to the advertising and promotion are the responsibilities of our different commercial distributors. Having said that in all the agreements we have in place, there are performance-related obligations in that to help drive sales forward.
Your objectives for the remainder of the year?
As I kind of said previously, 24 is a year very much of execution. We've got further launches coming, as I touched on a bit earlier. Mexico just launched. The US, which is obviously a big launch, that is occurring shortly, biggest market in the world from a consumer healthcare perspective. And we do expect other launches elsewhere. We're also progressing other developments. Yes, we're a consumer health company, but we've got a very experienced R&D team, and there is a lot of work that is progressing on that. We're exploring a number of different options, and I hope to be able to update shareholders in the not too distant future on what we're doing in that to really help build and expand the product portfolio in addition to Eroxon. Again, I think it's important to stress very much in the consumer healthcare area and within the sexual health care field.
Any closing remarks, James?
Look, it's been an outstanding 6 months for us. The best we've ever had. A significant profit, significant increase in sales. And when I consider, as I said earlier, where we were a few years ago, that is a huge achievement, and it's down to a huge amount of hard work put in by the whole team. I think we're very confident as we move forward. And actually, we have increased guidance today on both our profit and revenue for the remainder of the year. I think we're in a good place, and things are going well.
James, I hope you'll keep us updated on any additional progress. Thank you very much for speaking with us today.
Great.
That's Futura Medical CEO James Bardar.